Greetings, my beautiful star family. My name is Rebecca, and this is my full moon report for Pillars of the Moon. So, yay, welcome everyone. So happy to have you all here with me. What a cycle this is proving to be. I'm sure you have all been feeling it. It has been so intense, with the meeting of Mars and Uranus on fixed star Algol, which was 15th, I think, just this week, just gone. And the build up of that and the rage and the passion and the all of those really big Medusa, the severed head of Medusa energies and all of those um stories and the mythology of all that has been stirring in me so deeply. So yeah, I wanted to share. Um, so before we jump into the sky, um, yeah, so this is the overview for the month that I do at the new moon, and I forgot to put on it the astrological Llamas or Lunansar. I think I said that right. For us in the Northern Hemisphere, and in bulk for those of you in the Southern Hemisphere. So this cross quarter day is the exact midpoint between the summer solstice for us in the north and the autumn equinox, and in the south it will be the winter solstice and the spring equinox. So these cross quarter days are the exact middle point, and so the Llamas energy, where we will be in the north, it's all about the first harvest. So we have this celebration where we are gathering together as community. We might do rituals with candles and light, but also making bread. There's a celebration of the corn and the corn mother and starting to harvest the year, which um, is a really beautiful time, to be really starting to gather all of the things that we have achieved over the last cycle in the light. And those of you in the Southern Hemisphere will be celebrating Imbolc, which, oh, it's so beautiful in bulk. It's that first stirrings out of the dark. So it's like the first flickers of flowers that might start emerging. And yeah, the new life is just beginning to stir inside the womb of the winter. Um, so us in the north, we're out there full sun, but actually our days are starting to shorten now, and we are on our descent into the winter, even though it's lovely and warm today. But quite often at this time, what we do in our community is we will do a ceremony to weave in all of the light for the summer. So we might make a candle and we'll roll all of the light of the summer into like a rolled candle. And we will put flowers and dried things on it to kind of, and then we light that candle through the dark. So it's like a reminder that the light will return while you're in the darker months. And that's just a beautiful Llamas ritual that we do in our community, which I wanted to share with you because we're going to do it around about this time. So the astrological date is when you work out the amount of days between the equinox and the solstice and divide it by 2, that's the exact midpoint. So the 31st of the 7th is coming up this year. And I mean, traditionally it's celebrated on the 1st of August, but the astrological exact day this year is the 31st of July. And it shifts and changes the cross quarter days, and a lot of the Gregorian calendar has fixed these dates. But as we know, the solstices and the equinoxes change slightly by a few days each year, which means the cross quarter days also shift slightly a bit each year as well. So this is the exact date that I've worked out. So yeah, we've had our new moon in Gemini with Sirius, the Scorcher. That was on the 5th. We've had our first quarter moon in Virgo with a lovely alignment to fixed star Spica. And around this time, I was making medicine, which is perfect for the harvesting energy. And my beautiful mother was here and my daughter, and we was making tincture from the motherwort flower. And yeah, we was doing it together, the three of us, and it was really beautiful alignment with the first quarter moon and Spica. And yeah, that felt such an abundant day. Yeah, now the sun is moved, it's right on the cusp of Gemini and Cancer as I speak. And the full moon is coming up in the 21st of the 7th at 11:17 in the morning, and it's right on the cusp of Sagittarius and Capricorn. On the chart that I've drawn up, it's coming up at the last degree of Sagittarius and Capricorn, and Pluto is on 0 degrees of Capricorn, so it's really closely aligned to Pluto, this full moon. So that's where the intensity is coming from, I feel. The last quarter moon will be in Aries on the 28th of the 7th, 3:51. And yeah, and then, as I said, astrological Lammas cross quarter day or in bulk in the south. Right, so now we've done that, I'm going to show you the live sky, and let's go to Stellarium Web. So yes, if you're new to my channel, welcome. We use astronomical astrology for the reading of the stars and the sky, just as our ancients would have done. So you can hop onto stellariumweb.org if you like. It's free, and this is what's going on in the sky right now. So this is today, right now, we've got the sun. This is the constellation Gemini. You can see the sun. This red line is the border of Gemini's constellation. So it's journeying out of Gemini and into Cancer. So it's right on the cusp as I'm talking. By the time we get to the full moon, which I said was the 21st, didn't I, at 11 something or other? What was the time of it? 11:17. There we go. Okay. So by the time we get to the full moon, the sun will be, yeah, right into the stars of Cancer. So let's just zoom in on that a little bit. So this is the Beehive cluster in constellation Cancer, which is a beautiful cluster of stars, which really, I feel like this time of year, there's a really strong connection to the bees and creation and fertility and all of those fertile honey. It's like the honey pot, you know, and actually like the Cancerian energy connected to the turtle as well, the scarab beetle. This time of year is really about the cycles of life, you know, and the cycles of the womb, the cycles of the seasons. And so Venus here in Cancer as well, you know, this is where we're going to be focusing on that feminine energy of the cycles and the waves and the turnings of the wheel, the turnings of the womb, the turnings of, yeah, the stars and the cosmos. So I feel like I'm going to go over to Pluto. Whee, here we go. So this is a constellation Capricorn. You can see Capricornus, and Pluto is right here. So this is the full moon. You see constellation Sagittarius. So the full moon, if you can see, is right on the edge. So when this happens, you know, I say that both of these energies are combined, that it's not either one, it's both of them. And so what this cusp to me feels like, it's really about the mastery of Sagittarius and what I was sharing before about where the sun is and Venus and also Vesta as well, that I was talking about the seasons of the feminine and the seasons of the womb and the cycles of nature. And we have our Lammas celebration too, you know, around this time, which is also about the death and the descent and the endings of the old cycle, you know. And so Pluto being here with the moon right at this place in the sky, it feels like the ending of old cycles. And Pluto being connected to Hades, the lord of the underworld, you know, it's right on the cusp of Capricorn. I feel like it's the ending of old patriarchal cycles or structures that have been built or created. Pluto is right there on the cusp, joined with the moon, who's at the end of Sagittarius, which is, you know, mastery of cosmic cycles, mastery of the the spirals of time of the universe. You know, like I feel like because the Sagittarian energy is really entwined with universal law, cosmic law, and order. You know, so it's the order of the cosmos at this point in Sagittarius, and it's mastery of that. So this, where Pluto is, he's right on the cusp of Capricorn, you know, going backwards in retrograde. It's like when Pluto was moving forward into Capricorn, it's like he's going to go into the Capricorn energy and really like dig up the old systems and structures and get to the root and the core of all of the stuff that needs to be addressed and the bones of things, you know, and really kind of like dig deep into like the patriarchy, I guess, and the old structures and systems that have been built to see what's working and what's not working, and he may, you know, bring things down. That's what Pluto does. He's very destructive energy, but ultimately it's a powerful energy of change for the structures and systems of our world. So but he's going back now to Sagittarius, and with this full moon, it feels like there's a returning back to retrieve some wisdom from the universal cosmic law that Pluto and us are. Pluto is helping us to retrieve some really deep cosmic ancient wisdom about the cycles of the universe and the expansiveness of that before he can move forward, you know. So this is a big release. This full moon feels like it could be very intense. If there's unresolved issues and things that are really under the surface, this full moon can bring them up, you know, to really be looked at and felt and transformed. Um, mm, can't not mention Algol again. Oh my goodness. So, oh my gosh, I've been seeing this going around the social media as well. So, Algol is the head of Medusa. Um, I have been really journeying into the story of it, of Medusa, and like, you know, like in The Women Who Run with the Wolves book, Clarissa talks about the medicine inside all of the stories and how she philosophize like the deeper wisdom in it. So I was in my garden yesterday tuning into this, and so there's two energies at play here. So Algol being the head of Medusa, which is also connected to Lilith, the serpent woman, the serpent, the gorgon, like the yeah, the energy of the serpent, and this energy of the feminine that is untamed, raw, organic, like wild, like bleeding. It's like the energy of menstruation. It's the blood and it's the gore and it's the raging. And, you know, in the story of Adam and Lilith and Eve being Adam's second wife, it's because Lilith wouldn't lay under Adam, and that Lilith was like the so powerful. It's all of the parts of the feminine that we cannot control. And part of that, I feel, is the blood, is the menstrual cycle, is the cycles of nature, the cycles of the seasons, the cycles of our life. You know, we are born, we have rites of passage and thresholds all through our life, and then we die, and we don't control that. You know, it's written by our soul, maybe God, goddess, whoever you know tune into that by. But like this energy of Algol, to me, it's like tuning into like that deep feminine power that is beyond time, that deep feminine wisdom of the cycles. We're going back to the cycles again, you know, with Venus in Cancer and the sun moving into Cancer. And these cycles that are beyond like a patriarchal calendar, you know, of 12 months, basically. So I feel like wisdom of Mars and Uranus being here, like aligned to Algol with their alignment that they had exactly on Monday. You know, it's really allowing us to tap into her. And what do we meet when we tap into Algol? You know, we could have had past lives of trauma, of like rapings and beheadings, and could even be in this lifetime, you know, like it's the energy of I guess feminine rage, of injustice and all that is wrong, you know, like that kind of like energy of the unresolved or the beheaded or the persecuted parts of ourselves. And, you know, Medusa, really, this serpentine woman, goddess, is eros. She's pure, sensual, sexual life force. Kundalini, the serpent is the Kundalini. It's our life force, it's energy, it's power, it's freedom, you know? So when, you know, we've had this patriarchal calendar system put in and the 12 sign astrology system and all of these ways that time has been adjusted, you know, like our goal when we tune into Medusa can take us to a place beyond that time spiral. And I say time spiral because time is not a line. You know, in the new age things, we hear all this thing about timelines, timeline jumping. Like for me, time is a spiral and it always has been. And that is the way of the wisdom of Medusa. Like she knows that like the serpent spirals around. It's like a ever turning, ever changing wheel of life, death, rebirth, which is the same as the cycle of Venus, which is the same. Venus is just coming out of the underworld, isn't she? She is resurrecting herself up through the dark, up through the night sky as our evening star. So beautiful. I actually saw her the other night and I cried because I was just like, there you are. And I just I just harvested some herbs as well. And for my evening tea, it felt really beautiful moment. So yes, this is the energy I've been feeling with Algol and like tuning into the version of the story that we know, that we've been told, or that we've read. And like, how does that feel for us? And what is it moving in us? And why are we reading that and hearing that, you know? And actually, like what I found really interesting now is in the sky, the asteroid Pallas Athena is in opposition to Algol, Medusa. So I've been feeling like these two energies in opposition, like in the story, Medusa was priestess of Athena, working in her temple. Zeus, Jupiter, I think that was him. No, Poseidon, one of them. I can't remember my brain. Anyway, some stories say that she was raped. Some stories say she wasn't raped. But, you know, in Athena's temple, you know, she laid or was made to lay with I'm trying to think, is it Zeus or is it Poseidon? It's one of them two. Sorry about the unclarity of the story. But what I'm trying to get at is when Athena found out, it was her who had Medusa killed, and asked Perseus to go and kill her. And then I think that's the story. Or like that she would turn people to stone with her eyes or something. So there's so many different layers in the story. And I can't remember the exact order of it, but I know that when she dies, that Perseus, not Perseus, beautiful Pegasus comes out of her, like is born through her body, through the death of like her head being cut. So there was something that dropped into me while I was in the garden again around deadheading things. Like I was deadheading some of the roses and some of the flowers in my hanging baskets, and then I just got this message of like, if you want things to grow again, sometimes you have to cut off the old head. And then I just got this vision of Pegasus rising out of Medusa, and it's like, in order for her to fly, there was a part that needed to end. And that doesn't mean that her wisdom doesn't live on, doesn't mean that her legacy and her wisdom isn't still available to us. And so there was an ending of her life as it was. And then Pegasus, her child, is her legacy that is living on through her. That's the shift of energies, So I mean, there's a lot in that you could tap into, right? But the reason that I wanted to talk about that is because I feel like there's a energy with Pluto, with this full moon. It's like the beheading or the cutting off of the old heads, actually enables another flower to grow. And that sometimes in that ending or that beheading of something that needs to be addressed, actually, it's only when we have the courage to behead it that a new life can come, if that makes sense. So the Pegasus wouldn't have never been if that story wasn't to unfold, and I think there is a piece as well that's really strong in me and a lot of my sisters that we know, is this betrayal of the feminine, the betrayal of Athena to Medusa, because Medusa was Athena's priestess, but Athena thought that Medusa had betrayed her, and Medusa probably thought that Athena betrayed her also, So there's this kind of mistrust within different aspects of the feminine. And so Athena is connected to our logic. It's our left brain. She's also got a strong connection to her father, and she is great at strategy and planning and war, actually, and logistics of things. And her intuition is really strong. So she's really in the mental. Whereas Medusa, the Algol energy, is the wild. It's the feminine that is uncontrollable. It's chaos. It's raw. It's the Kundalini when it awakens, it's like unstoppable power. And so in the story, Athena has beheaded that, taking away that power, in turn favoring a more logical, scientific power. But what I'm feeling this full moon is an invitation is to return to this source of power, that she's still here and she still lives on through all of us, through our blood, through our bones, through our memory of our cycle, and that we are both. We need our logic and we need to be, able to plan and strategize. And this is where this six-pointed star came in the new moon chart. It's like there's the logical, there's the strategy, there's Saturn, there's the organizing, and then there's all that we cannot control. there is surrender, there is chaos, there is wildness, you know, and how do these archetypes flow in us, and how can we get into more balance with both of them? And I think Medusa has been persecuted for too long, and this energy is holy and sacred, and that's why she's raging, because she wants us to know. So if we are tapping into rage around this full moon, probably because there's a part of us that's raging to be heard. There's a wildness, a sensuality, an eroticism in us that has been repressed, beheaded, persecuted. And until we, me, us, really invite her in, you know, we will never heal, because it's through the blood, it's through the wisdom of the cycles of the stars and nature, and how it's all bloody connected, that we will heal. You know, and when women put their menstrual blood on the earth will heal. And I was bleeding. I started to bleed on the exact alignment of Uranus and Mars on Algol, you know, and oh my goodness. So if you're bleeding around this full moon like me, really using the blood to release and do some really deep healing about all that's releasing. And it may be connected to this story, you know, of Medusa and how it's moving us inside. Yeah. Wow, that was a really big transmission, wasn't it? I didn't know that was going to happen, but there you have it. So I'm going to look into the chart now. We're going to go back into the logical. So we've just been journeying into the surrendering to that which wants to be coming through. And now we're going to go to the more scientific, logical side of it. So yeah, so you can see Pluto and the moon here on this cusp. So Pluto's going backwards, and then he'll go forwards again. So this part in the sky, you know, there is like an energy of like intensity coming through about our beliefs. And I feel there could be, with Pluto still opposite Venus as well, like a lot coming up around conflict or power struggles within our relationships, or the dynamics between who's in the power, who's in control, who's like dominating. You know, there could be an energy of like with Venus in Cancer feeling abandoned, or it could be bringing up like old wounds to do with like that abandonment issue, or woundings around security. We could be feeling like lots of emotions with the sun moving into Cancer, Venus being in Cancer with Vesta. You know, there could be a lot of emotions moving for us around this full moon. And if the tears are coming, really allowing them to come, giving space for them, loving them, getting the support we need if we can, you know, really I feel like so Pluto is also, the full moon in Pluto is in square to Chiron. You can see here Chiron in Pisces. So this is also bringing challenge and intensity around like things that need healing. It's also an opportunity to bring these things up to the surface, these deep-seated wounds and fears and all the unresolved issues that need to be addressed. Like it's time to do some deep healing and transform them. And also in doing that, come into more power through our healing, you know. Mercury is in T-square to Pallas, and Pallas Athena in Libra, and Mars and Uranus at Algol in Taurus. So I feel like I was saying about this is like Pallas Athena opposing Medusa, you know, so this is like the wild versus the sensible, the raw versus the tamed, like the primordial mother opposing daddy's girl. So that's the way I see that energy. And so in T squared to Mercury, who's in Leo, I would say there could be quite aggressive communications. And I think Pallas Athena in Libra will probably be talking about her point of view would be, to bring more fairness and justice and, be very logical and planned about things. And then Uranus and Mars at Algol and Taurus would be all about my body, my feelings, like my worth, and valuing our body and valuing our raw, natural, organic power. Um, so yeah, the voice between these two, it's like it could be bringing, I say, arguments, challenges around our communications. Maybe when we are communicating with those around us, we might speak in a way that sounds, with Leo being quite self-absorbed or self-centered, or it's all about me, or do you know what I mean? And it could feel difficult to get our point across, because we might feel like, because Taurus is very about the body and the physical, and Libra is the air, it's the mind, it's all of that kind of logic. And so these two energies are opposing each other. It feels like there's a standoff between the body and the feeling, and then the logic and the mind, and the need to strategize things and know what's going to happen. Tuning in again to the energy that goes beyond the time spiral, and how in the deepest place, like our soul knows where we're going and what we're doing and the destiny of it all that's unfolding. And our logical brain doesn't like that. Our logical brain wants to know a plan that's written down, that we have in a list of strategies and things that we're going to do. And so this is a real challenge for our mind to trust the primordial knowing, our instinct. And so there may be conversations coming up with Mercury in T square that could be creating tension or challenge for us around that. Saying that, Pluto and the moon, Uranus and Mars, and Juno and Leo are in a grand trine. So this grand trine energy is going to be leaning us more towards this raw primal energy, I feel, and more into the body. So Juno in Leo is really like committed to the wild, is committed to our creativity and wanting to shine and be out there in the world. She's out there in the sun like a lioness, sunbathing and creating and on stage and being seen in that. So this energy feels like, this grand trine energy feels very sensual, it feels very embodied, it feels kind of tantric, kind of yeah, with the body of the Taurus energy, with this connection with Uranus and Mars. It's really like we could be feeling like we need to really attend to our bodies as well and value our bodies, and that, could bring some transformation as well with the Pluto energy. Jupiter is in square to Saturn. So you can see Jupiter is in Taurus here, and he's in square to Saturn. So this is a little bit, it's not going to be like that for too long, but it's not a quick aspect because they're both kind of slower moving. But this kind of is going to bring like an expansion versus restriction. So it's like the wanting to expand and grow into the physical with Jupiter and Taurus, and of course also Saturn is in retrograde as well in Aquarius. So there's this energy of restriction, and I feel like it could bring financial obstacles or like a reevaluating of how we're going to grow. So we may not be able to grow as quickly as we thought, or there may be some kind of something that comes up around these two energies being in a tense aspect together that It's like the enthusiasm of wanting to grow something with Jupiter and expand and explore and come into more of like a physical, creation. Saturn, who's the structures and the systems of time, is going backwards in Aquarius. So it's like, well, hold on a minute, we didn't do that thing that enables us to grow, so we have to go back. We have to go back and start over. Or it could mean that business plans or things take longer than we thought, because Saturn is all about time. So this could be things taking time, things taking more time than what we thought. And that could be bringing up frustration and tension and feeling that we uh, just want it now, and but we've put a lot of work in. So this is all about endurance and patience with these things that we want to grow, and having the trust in the cosmic order and time that it will unfold, but we have to be patient. This is one of the great lessons of Saturn, that good things take time. So if there's something that we missed out, we might just have to go back and resolve that thing before we can move forward, which is perfect for his retrograde in Aquarius, right? Yeah. So what else did I want to share about? Um, so yeah, I'm thinking that's probably all for the full moon, unless there's anything else bubbling out of me right now. No, seems to be good. Okay, so last quarter moon in Aries on the 28th of July. Um, what did I want to say about this? So now Mars is moving away from Uranus in Taurus, so that's kind of culminating, and then he's going to meet with Jupiter soon. So that's another big energy coming. Venus is with Vesta and still, and Mercury is with Leo. So the moon, the last quarter moon, will be in Aries. Um, just making a nice trine to Mercury, actually, who's in trine to Ceres. Yeah, that's really nice. And Black Moon Lilith is in trine too. So that's really lovely energy for the last quarter moon. We could be feeling that there's some conversations that we could be having in more of a harmonious way. So all of the stuff that comes up to the surface at the full moon, then maybe by the time we get to the last quarter moon, I mean, the conversations with Aries, with the Aries energy, could still be quite quick and fast and to the point, but we might be getting more clarity on the conversations, and perhaps the drama isn't so intense. Especially with Mars moving away from Uranus now as well. There's just getting a bit of space. um, bit of space on the situation. Um, I can't think what else I wanted to share about. So yeah, you can see that Jupiter and Saturn are still in this square. So this is going to be an ongoing thing for a little while. So we're just going to have to be really attentive to those things that we want to grow and expand. And just if there's restrictions, we may just have to take some good deep breaths, remind ourselves that we will get there, and be patient. And it's a process. Um, yeah. Right, the new moon in Cancer will be on the 4th of the 8th, at 14 degrees of Cancer. So that's going to be my next report. So I think that's all for this report. So I'm hoping you enjoyed all of that. And yeah, let me know if you've got any questions. Let me know if you'd like to have a reading or anything like that. Yeah, if you have any questions, just get in touch. All right, my loves. Well, have a beautiful full moon, big energies, deep transformation. We can do it. I love you. Blessings.